It's 1 year since our most viewed and darkest show we've ever done. We're back. We're still here. We thought that was it, but we're still here a year later for a friendly. USA 2, Colombia 4. Chris, how are you feeling right
I
now?
want to say I'm calling this Days of Future Past. Are we any better than we were playing Colombia in Copa America? Have we changed at all? To me, I guess I won't even wait for an answer. I'll just say, to me, this game was a complete waste. It was a complete waste of time. The moment, essentially, our maybe three best players or three of the players we're most looking forward to playing weren't going to be in it. I already expected we were going to lose, so it didn't like I'm not upset about tonight or anything. I just look at it as what was there to prove at that point? Like, in effect, Bradley became a de facto must start then, and
It's a weird situation to be
we,
in a year
yeah,
after,
like
a year later.
yeah. What terrible timing to be the first game he comes back is the first game a member of that team returns. It's the center part of that team, we should say, returns is effectively the anniversary of the worst day in U.S. soccer history. Um, so yeah, that sucks. But I don't know. My whole take is once like in a sense you could say our three best players were not going to be in this game. We knew Colombia was bringing a good lineup. Um,
Yeah, that's a really good team
what
there.
the hell was there
I don't
to
expect us to beat that
truly?
team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, what was there any more to prove? But I guess what was most disappointing was um, how much higher Colombia's level was than ours. I mean, I can remember in Copa America, in both games, we thought maybe there was a chance. Like we didn't necessarily believe, oh, we can win this, but like thought maybe we can hold them and get lucky. In this, it was sort of like, I don't even think we could pull that off. And some of that is that we were playing what's still a pretty haphazard lineup. I mean, it's been thrown together because it's all friendlies. The games have been meaningless. We don't have a coach. More on that in a little bit. So there were times that like a lot of the passes, especially in the like offensive half of the field in the first half, were just crap. Like players couldn't make simple passes, or they were just passing to space and there was no one there. A lot of our crosses, even the cross in the first goal, Robinson's, excuse me, cross that Acosta smashed home, even that was just kind of dumped to a spot. He wasn't aiming
Yeah,
for anyone. He
it was
wasn't
a pretty
necessarily,
finish, but it
yeah,
was
like it was a great read on Acosta's part to see there was space and to make that run. But all in all, to me, that was an unintentionally good cross because I just felt like the whole thing was a team that isn't sure who plays where yet. And when we've had as many lineup changes, as many different players involved as we have, that's kind of to be expected. I mean, that was always one of the problems when Klinsmann was the coach. So I don't know. I just look at it and say like Columbia was better all over the field. Robinson had a bad night. The early yellow definitely cost him. I won't necessarily disagree with that call. At this point, I can't even remember which one it was, but I did feel like when Yedlin, I think near the end, was complaining about like how ticky tack our fouls were and how true fouls that Colombia's were committing and kind of getting away with. I did feel like we were, in a sense, battling a referee as well. Whatever, it was a friendly game. I don't care that much. The scoreline didn't matter, but I will say it seemed like kind of your average U.S. calls. But anyway, oh God. Um,
anonymity
so
says
once,
everyone should know. Anonymity says that Robinson was given the Kavanaugh treatment all night, and he says the team is made up of replaceable factory workers, like they're the 1886 Arsenal Woolwich squad or whatever. It's
anyway, Woolwich.
yeah,
Anyway,
Woolwich. Yeah.
yeah, especially after that, Columbia just abused him. I mean, the dude was getting turned inside and out. He was getting beaten to balls. Uh, I mean, it started, I think, with the confusion
Hold on, TJ. Do you
between
have a
him and
beard?
Brooks early on.
Does TJ have a beard?
Yeah. If you were to show up once in a while, you would know this.
I show up. kind of a tough guy look for TJ.
Her suit fan TV.
All right, go on, Chris.
Anyway, my point was that Robinson was just getting abused. I mean, it goes all the way back to, I don't remember what minute it was. It was very early when he and Brooks kind of got tangled up because neither of them really called the ball. And Brooks, being the trailing guy, should have been able to see what was happening. But they both ended up getting burned because neither of them were really paying attention. They kind of stumbled over each other and let, it wasn't James, I don't remember who it was, kind of dribble right through them. From there, you know, our left side, their right was just every bit of attack. The entire rest of the game came through them. Whatever. The midfield, we had no control of. We had no sustained possession. So we couldn't even prevent any of it. I don't know. Stefan, I guess you could say he probably could have done more with the last 2 goals. I think he probably had a chance on them both. The first 2, I wouldn't fault him on at all. I don't necessarily fault him for any of them, really. But if you're looking at like, oh, this is like the guy that's for sure going to be our keeper of the future, you do look and say, like, sometimes he makes unbelievable saves. And those 2, if you know, it was absolutely a guy, like if he was just locking down this position for the next 4 to 8 years, you know, maybe those 2 would have been saved. But whatever, I still don't fault him. I'm not trying to say that as, oh, he should have done it. Rarely will you count me saying it was the goalie's fault anyway. None of them were.
Christian wants to know why Michael Bradley got the armband. Because he was the only one left? I don't know. I mean, who else would you have given it to in all seriousness? John Brooks, maybe? Miazga? Stefan, maybe? I think if Michael Bradley's out there, he gets the armband.
Yeah.
You can argue whether he should be out there, but I think if he is, it's...
Yeah. Before the show, Pat and I were talking about should Bradley be wearing number 4? Like if Tyler Adams or somebody's out there, does Bradley still wear 4? I assume it's sort of like if Landon Donovan walked into this lineup, like just came out of nowhere and walked in tomorrow.
Anything could happen with him.
10. Yeah.
Surprise!
Who knows? He would still be number 10 because
playing in the Nigerian second league. This
yeah, it's you know, it's his history with it. It's so. I think when guys with that much seniority, that much experience walk in, yeah, they get what they want. I mean, in any sport, in any team, pretty much if you walk in and you are you've been the guy for years, you're going to get whatever you want, even on the new team.
But, you know, that's the thing we talked about. We don't want his sort of, and I think it was Jimmy Conrad that pointed this out. This is a dude with a giant sort of personality. And I don't think you want the bad elements of that, whatever they are, getting, you know, thrown about on this team. That's the only drawback, I think, for me. He's still a very good player. He wasn't terrible tonight. I don't see the only reason I wouldn't want him is because A, we want to see who else we have and give those guys opportunities going forward. And B, because I don't want him telling people what to do beyond what you would want a person in that position to tell people what to do.
I guess
he's got a lot to offer, but you don't want to be overwhelming.
Yeah. I guess that was the point that was going to kind of be my broader point when I was saying like this game was a waste, and I rambled on, didn't get to it. I guess what I really meant was once like Bradley and things came in, so what? Like okay, we got our stars injured. You know, they couldn't play. I would rather we just stuck with some of the other guys, and if we get shelled, we get shelled because who cares? Even sticking Bradley out there, we still lost, and we didn't come close to winning. Like, it was not a close game. It should have been way worse than it was. So what difference did it make? You know, to me, he's a so what in this instance. And until it's necessary to have him, he's always going to kind of be a so what, because we know what we have with him. We know what he offers. And that's not to knock what he offers. It's just to say that, but we're looking at other things because he's just getting too old. We have to look at other options. And I would rather try out guys that, you know what, maybe they sink, maybe they swim. Who knows? It's sort of like trying out Ben Sweat. But then again, I look at it and say, yeah, but the dude's 27. Or 27, I think it's 27. I was going to say maybe we're 28. I can't remember what I think it's 27.
Was that a favor?
What difference does it make to trot out a guy at that point?
What, I mean, it was.
I honestly, I think it's that we're still trying left backs.
I think it
Yeah.
was nothing more than Saracen thought he was actually bringing in Keith Sweat. So
Sarah, can I make Ben sweat? I was told by my girlfriend, do not do that tonight. I can't hear her.
She's
She's
probably
laughing,
right. She's
rolling her
probably
eyes
right.
at me.
Yeah.
One thing on Bradley I want to point out. Did anyone else notice he changed to a fan jersey at halftime?
No.
Because the first half, it looked like he was wearing a swimming suit or something. He had sweated through that jersey so badly, it looked like he was like it looked like it was melted on him. He changed to a dry jersey, but I noticed it was also much bigger. It was like baggy and everything. I think he went up a size and went to. It clearly wasn't the player like.
You went with the
super cut
replica?
one. He went with like a replica. Yeah, that made me laugh.
US Soccer probably charged him $90 for it.
Yes, my girlfriend was like, he has the Husky jersey on. I was like, wait a minute.
I can't believe I didn't notice that. That's a great
Yeah.
pickup. That's the kind of analysis you get here on USfanTV that you don't get elsewhere.
So
That's
now,
what that for you.
that might
so
be
now,
but that might
anyone-
be the strongest. I was going to say that might be the strongest contribution you've had all year, Chris.
maybe. Makes for a strong year, though. I've at least got one.
TJ's got a hardcore lean going on right now. He's kind of like, if I did the show like this.
Swerve.
Oh, there's a child. He's always got babies. He's always got children. That's not even his.
Yes, Christian, I will get to Sargent's turn in just a moment because you're right. That was awesome. Acosta, that was a great run from him to score. Who else did I have specific notes on? That looks about it. Sargent. Oh, my God, that turn was amazing. That turn was what Colombia was doing to us all night. It was simply having better vision and, I don't know, better skill to see how to like hold the defender on your back, turn with the ball, position your body, and play the ball to yourself. The only thing I wanted from him there was shoot. Don't look to pass. You were open in the box. I don't care if it's a tighter angle. Take a shot. That's what you're there for. You're supposed to be the greedy one.
And as usual, you're wrong, Chris. That was definitely the pass to make. That was the pass to make. But...
Nope. Oh, look, I'm not saying that maybe for the team it wasn't a wiser choice. I want him to be the guy who is greedy and shoots. Like, we need more guys like that. Short of maybe Dempsey, we haven't had guys like that. Maybe Clint Mathis back in the day. But maybe you could say Wijnaldum back in the day, too. Like, Wijnaldum wouldn't pass that ball. But
Wijnaldum today wouldn't pass that ball.
My point is just, you're out, like, you are possibly our striker of the future. I want you to look to strike. Like, that is it. I want you to hammer that ball. I want you to take your shots. Even if it's not the best angle. Unless it's wide open and you like, okay, if you've got the goalie and your defender on your third of the goal and you've got a teammate in the back 2/3 of the goal standing wide open, okay, fine, I'll let you make that pass because that's a for sure goal. Otherwise, I want my strikers shooting.
That's fair. By the way, Wijnaldum today would miss and then blame it on a conspiracy theory. He would loosely hint at a conspiracy theory on Twitter.
My point is just we haven't had guys who are greedy other than maybe Dempsey. Like Deuce is kind of the last guy who's like, nope, I'm taking this. I want more guys to do that, Like, I think that's part of what has made our strikers not so great at the international level is none of them are greedy enough. Now, you could say some of it is they aren't skilled enough too, but we're getting better. The vision's getting better. Bobby Wood's run for that goal was very good. I want to see these guys. I don't care if it's a half chance. That's what you're there for. I want you to have the ego and the attitude and the desire to take the shot, even if it's not the best idea. But that's me. Whatever.
Christian really, really wants to know about Greg Berhalter.
We'll get to Greg Berhalter as well soon. Don't worry. I don't know. Other thoughts on the game? What did you guys think?
Right now? Here's the thing. I think even if the Federation had its shit together and we had a coach and we had a direction and we knew what we were doing, this is still not a game that we would win. And it's still not a game that I really care if we win or not. We're still at the point where, I mean, even if we are we know what we're doing. We're still at the point where I just want to see individual players do things. And that's kind of what we saw tonight. Now the Federation is a mess, and we, should be farther along on a lot of things, but still, this game was this game. We were without, our 3 best players, and we were playing a really, really phenomenal international team. So Chris is sponsored by a beer company tonight.
Yes, tonight's show is brought to you by El Goza from Avery Brewing. If anyone knows anyone from Avery Brewing, we will take sponsorship, because at least 2/3 of this show quite enjoys this beer.
It is a tasty beer.
I just want to show off that I'm having one tonight. So,
tell us, Chris, why is it a German beer with a Mexican flair?
Because it is a German sour, which is a Goza, but they make it with a German style. But they make it with lime juice and sea salt, so they consider the lime juice kind of like the Mexican half of it. So it's they say like salud and salud, cheers, and prost on the side. So yes, it's a mixture of German and Mexican styles together. It's quite a tasty beer.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris, for that. And if anyone's listening at the
Avery
Brewing Company...
Also, we're looking for sponsors, so hey.
Yeah. If any of you work for the Avery Brewing Company...
If anyone knows anyone from Avery, by all means, let them know. We are fans of their product, and we will make more commercials for them. Okay, before we turn into last week's show, other thoughts on the game? TJ, thoughts on the game?
It sounds like you guys came across as pretty negative overall. Was that your kind of takeaway from it?
My feeling, it's not necessarily like there were some, I guess, a few bright spots. My feeling is just that it means nothing in the end. Like this is a truly
not as negative as this time
friendly.
Last year. Yeah, it's not as negative as this time last year. But yeah, you got to consider that we didn't have some players. They're a way better team. We don't have direction, and it's a friendly. You got to factor all that in your anger, and you probably won't be too angry then. And the ref was out to get us, according to Chris.
I did not say that. I just felt that things like, Robinson's yellow were kind of only happening to one side. I did feel like our fouls were not nearly as harsh as theirs, but we were getting at least 55 to 60% of the calls.
Again, this is a friendly. I don't care. I guess.
I wasn't saying it affected the outcome. It was more of just making a statement.
You guys were talking about Michael Bradley, and I guess my thought with him was it was nice to see him not have to go all the way back to Zach.
That's what Chris said. Chris said that before we got on the air.
Yeah, we had a discussion beforehand. I didn't see him playing kind of as like a sweeper.
No, which was a nice, and I think if you give him Julian Green is Julian Green. He's not Pulisic. Put Pulisic in that spot, and I think, and you put Weston McKennie there instead of Acosta. You don't have to depend on Bradley to do everything. Yeah. And
we could have had it would have been a much different game. It would have been much more interesting in that case. My feeling was once kind of our 3 maybe most important players going forward weren't going to be in the game, we're playing an incredible side. I mean, so many guys they have are, I won't say light years, but like, decades ahead of us essentially. And then so what? It just doesn't mean anything. What are you going to pull from this? And then, we got Bradley out there. Well, we already know what we have from Bradley. We know what he's good for, what he's good doing. Do we need him to keep a team like this steady when in the end, do you need them to be steady? Like to somewhat, you want to see them challenged by getting hammered at the feet of James Rodriguez.
I guess to me, and I take a different approach, is I wanted to see how he would fit in with this group. Because if you start qualifying...
That's certainly interesting.
You need to kind of see that. Does he fit into that? Do you need somebody like him? And again, I think it all fits into what Sarakin's just... he's trying different things. He wants what works. Yeah, Sarakin's not getting the job. We know that, and we'll get to that part later. But at the same time, Why not find out how he fits in? Does he fit in? Does he overwhelm everything? I thought my negative with him was he took too much of the ball tonight, and but then again, you really couldn't go to the left side, and I think I froze up.
No,
No,
you
you're
didn't
fine.
seem to.
You're there.
All right, but the left side, going to the left side was pretty much a waste of time, and that kind of left you with Weah's side of the field, and it just seemed like we went a lot more down the middle tonight than we did in games past.
Seth doesn't like, I think, being out on a wing. So his natural tendency is to look inside. Weah isn't really a wing. Now, having said that, I'd like to see him perhaps become a wing because I think that's maybe where he's most effective with this team, unless we turn him into like a striker. But I think Josh Sargent probably has that role. Maybe you could find a way. Maybe Sargent starts playing the hold-up role and Weah's allowed to run off, or maybe you start playing with two up top. But I don't know. Like I like Weah. I'm not sure exactly where to fit him in yet. Seth, I like his skill, but yeah, he definitely wants to play into the middle, and I think right now our central midfield is just too crowded for that. That said, I don't know. So much of the passing in the first half, especially on the offensive half of the field, was such crap that it was hard to read a lot of things. Like guys were just screwing up simple passes even, and so you couldn't tell necessarily if maybe with a better first pass there could have been a give and go or something, and Steph could have run into space and suddenly we were attacking down the left or something. So I don't know.
I guess I got asked what I thought of the back line tonight. Robinson got exposed again, but to be fair, I think that happens to a lot of people when it's Hymas coming down that side.
Yeah.
And he got exposed by Douglas Costa, which last I checked, a lot of people get exposed by Douglas Costa.
Yeah.
I in Twitter I saw, because it's always such a positive place, a lot of people saying Robinson shouldn't see the field again. No, these are the game. You've now put him out there against two of probably the top 20 in the world, maybe. Maybe Douglas Costa's top 50, but you're going to get exposed by players Hymas is still top 10 in the world. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't
top
put him
15
definitely
maybe?
Put him lower than I was going to say. I definitely wouldn't put him lower than 15.
He doesn't always make the top 11 at Bayern, but
then again, I mean that sometimes means he's not making the number one at his position.
Right,
but it is Bayern. Like I mean, I was talking to my girlfriend during the game about like who James was, and I said, yeah, he was he was the star of the 2014 World Cup and got a huge transfer to Real Madrid, but they're always looking for the whoever's the hottest new player. And so soon enough, he got kind of rolled over. But I said he moved on to Bayern Munich, which might actually be a better move for him. Like, not just in terms of his career, but all in all.
Okay, so Steve Madger just said this team is better than everyone in the CONCACAF except maybe Mexico. If he's talking about Colombia buries Mexico. But if he's talking about the U.S., no. Costa Rica probably still ahead.
We definitely have to prove ourselves against Costa Rica right
Correct.
now. That's for sure.
But I don't. I guess
but
I'm not as.
There is the promise of talent, at least. The problem was we're still not that deep, and that's why, to me, this game was beyond meaningless. All friendlies are meaningless. We've had this conversation after every friendly, I think. But this game in particular just ended meaningless to me. Meaninglessly to me. Once
the subs started happening really, I thought the first 60 minutes, and after that, I really closed my proverbial notebook and said, all right, that's enough. There's nothing really more to take away from it. The first half, Colombia's better. Wow, we knew that. I thought U.S. had some decent spells in there of possession, which they didn't have against Brazil. They showed some promise going forward. They were decent on the counter. Colombia's better. How do you beat a team that's better than you? You look to counter. You look to do some holding possession. They did some of that stuff. Not a negative half, and Hymas's goal was a thing of beauty. Let's face it for what it was. You said you had problems with Stefan on the last 2 goals. The last goal he didn't see it.
I said
he was
possibly he could have. I'm saying I don't actually have a problem with any of them. My feeling is if you're looking at, oh yeah, this guy has to be our keeper, like, you know, the position's just locked, it doesn't matter anymore, he's the number one, then maybe, you know, if like he made those last 2 saves or something, he would that would be okay, he did it. Yeah, for sure, he's locked in. Well, I still think he's the number one. I'm not.
He's number one, and
suggesting he's not, and I'm not saying that he actually should be held responsible for those goals. I'm saying that sometimes you need a goalie who's a difference maker, and you got those guys who play like Howard did in 2014 against Belgium, where you kind of just, they stand on their head, and it's like no matter what they do, they can't be scored on. That's the only reason why those 2, I guess, those last 2, he could have scored. I'm not suggesting otherwise that he should have saved them.
I guess I had no problem with them. I don't, you know, I thought Stu Holden started talking about like Guzan wanting to. Guzan's not an answer. Zach Steffen is your number one. I don't think it's that close. I really don't. He had another great year with. Yeah, Guzan's like getting to be 600 years old. No.
I mean, realistically, for being a keeper, he's not old. He's what, 32? He's younger than Bradley, isn't he?
I thought he was like 600.
Wait, no, Bradley's what, 31? So then maybe he's 30. They're right up against each other. They're really close in age.
Yeah, and so
I'm going to look it up. Why not? Yeah. There's this thing called the internets that I happen to have.
Steve says he's 32 and Guzan is 34. That sounds correct to me.
Okay, there we go. I knew they were within. As I was thinking about it, I'm like, wait, it would make more sense for a keeper to be older. I knew they were within like 2 years of each other.
Guzan's not your number one in 4 years. Zach Steffen's your number one. You might as well play him out in games that matter.
I think you're right.
I would. Now that said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Guzan play Tuesday or whatever. Tuesday? Next Tuesday? Is that the next one?
Yeah, Tuesday.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Guzan get a run out. But that, you know, like I said, my takeaways are, it's like you said, it's meaningless, but it's nice to see. I guess what I would say, what it's nice to see is how do they do against a pretty well loaded Colombia side. It's not like they left anybody home.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like Brazil, they didn't leave anybody home. So it's nice to see how they do against. And that's the only thing
they've done well is schedule games against good teams so that maybe we can actually see how we stack up instead of blowing out some tiny country and feeling good about ourselves. You actually see what these guys can do. That's the only thing I'll give U.S. soccer credit for.
Could have taken on Trinidad and Tobago and just destroyed them.
Oh yeah, can you imagine if we played them? We would just.
You're still not over this, are you?
I'll never be over this. It was the worst day in U.S. soccer history. It was the worst night of USFanTV history.
Oh, I see. I disagree. I thought it was maybe for last week. It was still the best night.
I don't know. I'm not watching. I will never watch that show again. I will. I've watched a lot of our shows afterwards just to see like what we really looked like. I've never watched one. I never will. No. I don't want to see myself like that again. I remember parts of it, and that's all I need to know.
Anonymity's tried twice tonight to work the Conor McGregor fook into the chat.
Oh, we see Sandra's talking about.
There is a difference in Ireland between fook and fuck, I will say.
Will you tell us? Will you tell us what it is?
I had an Irish professor in college who explained the difference to me once. I still didn't quite understand it. I just know that his point was there is a difference. And as far as I can tell, the difference is like fook is what kids get away. It's like freak here or something. It's like you know what they're saying, but they kind of get away with it because it's not technically.
Okay, two things caught my eye. Sandra talking about Neuer being replaced by Ter Stegen. Chris, didn't we talk about that like a couple weeks ago when when Sandra was on hiatus? I think that's when Pat was holding out, when Hat Guy was holding out for more money. And then Anonymity says, I'm trying to be the heel of the show. Actually, I'm usually not the heel of the show. It's usually trying to get Chris to get angry. It's more fun that way. So what else? What else you got, Chris?
Anonymity, that's how he is. He's kind of combative.
I was gonna say, which one of us?
No,
you made comments about both of us.
That's how TJ is in real life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's not trying.
I've known TJ since I was like 9 and he was 10. Maybe 10 and 11. I don't know. Either way.
No, it's been 30. Yeah, it was 8 and 9, Chris, I think, actually. But yeah. Chris,
I was 9 when I moved to Wisconsin. So
it was that same year.
It was 9 or 10. I don't know exactly when.
It's been over 30 years, though.
But yeah. I will say TJ has been like this the entire time I've known him. Yes. All right. If there's nothing else on the game, we can move on to the women's game. The women are now 1 win away from making the World Cup.
How's Mexico doing, by the way?
The best part of this qualification might be that Mexico isn't gonna make it. If only it hurt them as much as it would if like the men didn't make it.
Yeah, that's the thing. We can laugh at them, but they don't care.
Yeah, they just don't care, and that's the part that sucks.
That's
it would be
why
fun
they're bad.
to at least rub it back in.
You say they don't care, but yet when you look at who draws 30 some odd thousand for a women's game, it's Mexico.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the U.S. I mean, a club game. It's Mexico.
Yeah, but they don't care in terms of like growing the sport to like build a quality team. I mean, so many of their players are American anyway, and not like in kind of our way, but more like as in they go play there because they can't make our team.
Yeah, they had
kind of like the German, kind of like the German U.S. players, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Kind of.
So
anyway, yeah, they in a bit of, I don't know, poetic justice or in the chance to exercise some demons, they played Trinidad and Tobago last night.
That's incredible that happened.
yeah. Talk about how in the hell does that happen? I don't know if it's justice or if it's just like rubbing some salt into the wound against the men. They beat Trinidad 7-0, so they just rolled them over. They did what the men were supposed to do last year. So that leaves them 3-0 in qualifying, 18-0 in terms of goals, in terms of plus minus, goals for and against, whatever. I kind of think they're going to make the World Cup. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say.
Fair.
Pretty sure. even if they lose for some reason, they get to go play the 4th place. They get to go play a play-in game.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Because didn't they play Italy a couple cycles ago for a play-in game?
Yeah, what was that? Wasn't 2015, was it? It was 2011? Is that right? I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway.
That starts getting far enough back that it's too much for me. It was nice to see they definitely spread the goals around. Granted, when you get 7 goals, that's easy to do. But for a team that, had some real struggles and a lot of questions going into kind of for the last year or so, maybe you could even say since the last Olympics, they certainly came together at the right time. I mean, it is within CONCACAF, and we're easily the best team in CONCACAF. So if we aren't winning it, you kind of have to ask some questions. But they've taken care of it pretty handily. So hooray! Now on to their semifinal game. And what was that?
We have to get to Greg Berhalter, or Christian's going to yell at us again.
Yeah. We'll get there in a second. Anyway, one more game basically, and the women are going to the World Cup officially.
It doesn't feel this. It's just so expected with them that it doesn't.
I know.
Like it. It was expected with us, though. To be fair,
that is true. Yeah, I mean, it's so expected with them, and it is the fact that there's just the competition isn't as hard or isn't as strenuous, because you can do it in one tournament in your country that takes 2 weeks basically, and you're qualified. There's just not as much, and they are so much better than the competition that it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make for as I guess you could say exciting, but maybe it's more like heart-wrenching problems afterwards. All right. On to the big news. Alex, are you saying to kick Cayenne Maxine Haydari? That's a name. All right. Greg Berhalter, 366 days after the worst day in U.S. soccer history. Grant Wall reports Greg Berhalter is being interviewed for the U.S. coaching job. It's the role everyone knew, it's the news everyone expected, and the timing that no one can believe. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's exactly where we're at right now.
I mean, it's taken a year. It'll be a year in what, tomorrow or the day after since Bruce Arena stepped down. Like, when did he step down? I can't remember exactly.
It was like the Thursday of that week or something.
Yeah,
it
was within days. So it's been a year basically that we've been. I mean, realistically, it's been 366 days. It's been a year that we've been looking for a coach. It will be a year soon that we've officially been looking for a coach. And now we're going to name a guy that was right under our noses the entire time and whose brother also, by the way, works for U.S. Soccer. So it's not like, I mean, come on, he played for the national team. Everyone knows him.
And
what the hell?
Who cares?
Whatever.
It might be time for a who is Greg Berhalter piece.
Yeah.
Who cares, Chris? Wait, Chris, why does this bother you so? Why does this bother you?
It's not that it is Greg Berhalter, because it's a fine choice.
Yeah,
I guess it took us a year to come to this conclusion, which makes you wonder.
But you are both the same two that sit there and said none of these games over this course of this year mattered. Whether you have Berhalter running the camp, whether you have Saracen running the camp, it doesn't matter.
Sure, and I was all for waiting until after the World Cup to name someone. If we're now going to find out that really we weren't looking at anyone who was coaching in the World Cup anyway, then why the hell didn't we name him in the offseason? And now we're going to wait until what, the MLS season's over? Great, we could have done that a year ago. And yeah, sure, the games don't mean anything. It's not about that, though. It's just about setting, I don't know, the tone of the future program, the future regime, whatever you want to call it. We haven't done any of that, and
none of this. You're the one that just spent.
Sure, but so realistically, come on.
What would
the Gold Cup doesn't mean shit most of the time.
What would Berhalter have done differently over this past year that Saracen did? What would have been the difference? I think he's honestly better.
I'm not saying he necessarily would have done anything.
I think it's honestly better where he was, if he was been the choice the whole time, which he may or may not have been. That we'd like to hope Ernie Stewart has some choice in that, and maybe he has talked to other people. Like I said, we've all speculated he's talked to representatives and seen what's out there and so on and so forth before he's made a decision. And I'm honestly of the opinion Berhalter was better off where he was, because, geez, you already looked at Zach Steffen as your number one. Now he's working with him every day, with that team every day. Zach Steffen's going to be in better position for it. And things like that. I don't think any of that matter. Oh, you could have named him a year ago. Maybe Berhalter didn't want to be named yet. Maybe he wasn't ready for doing that. Maybe he wanted another year. You don't know that. Nobody knows.
Sure, but
who cares?
These games, you can say lots of those things, but in the end,
when we had conversations on whether the show was even going to continue after the World Cup a year ago, that's how relevant this year was. It was completely irrelevant. The only positive was going to be they had a decent shirt come out this year. That was the only hope for a
to
good.
Me, that's not a positive.
But my point being, when this is all said and done, none of it mattered anyway.
Well,
whether you get Berhalter now or later.
The result doesn't matter, but the game matters. The games matter because it lets us see what works and what doesn't work going forward.
So what would Saracen, again, back to the same premise, what did Saracen do versus what Berhalter would have done? Probably not much different.
That's probably true.
I'm not saying that.
It's more about us as a federation being motivated to do something. They just dragged their feet for so long.
Yeah.
They were very motivated to behind the scenes glad hand and get the deal done to get Cordiero the job. They were very motivated to do that. But beyond that, it took 6 months from there to get Ernie. And then we're going to end up with Berhalter, who, again, no disrespect to Berhalter, I think he's fine. Of the American crop, he'd be near the top, I think, for me. But I'm interested to see what he can do. He took a fairly shitty Columbus Crew team and did some good things with them this year. But
again,
I want a plan.
Was Columbus was Berhalter's first managerial job, correct?
As head, right?
Yeah. So why not give him another year where he's getting to do more than once every 2 or 3 months?
But if you weren't sure of him a year ago, then why wouldn't you hire someone else? Why wouldn't you look at other options?
Again, Chris, you answered your own question by saying who was out there after the World Cup, who did they talk to, who was interested, who wasn't. There's a lot of things out there. Like you said, Ernie Stewart coming again. Ernie Stewart was rumored back as far as when they hired Cordero. I mean,
yeah.
So
and to anonymity's point, anonymity's saying I think he's fine is a description that kills us as as U.S. soccer, which I understand that, but I'm hesitant because the last time and the only time that I was ever really excited about getting anybody as our head coach was Klinsmann. He was the only time we ever went out and got a big name who excited a lot of people about what the possibilities were. And he had his ups and downs. He had big ideas, but he wasn't really any different. The results weren't really any different. So
I want to touch on this. Robert asked why, if none of this matters, why did they not keep Bruce Arena? Because U.S. Soccer Federation had gardening that needed to be done, so Bruce Arena had to be the guy to do it. Isn't that what they always say? They put him on gardening detail or gardening duty?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, he asked why if this none of this matter, why not keep Bruce Arena? Well, because Bruce Arena had to go on gardening duty. Isn't that what the English always say when they fire a guy?
That one I don't know. I've never heard.
I've read that one before. Anyway,
that's what they say in the 11th division.
Yeah, something like that. No, I saw it. It is said periodic. Anyway, I'll tell you though, name that came up today that I wouldn't mind seeing them interview if if Berhalter isn't set in stone would be Jardim from that just got let go by Monaco.
That could be cool.
We can't really pull that though, can we?
I mean, look, we've got the money. Technically speaking, we could get anyone we want. And I remember having this debate with someone back, I guess, around the first time that Klinsmann was up, when it was like, oh well, we can only get certain people because how can we afford them? And I said, look, smaller countries than ours get big name guys because they pay them. We can do it.
Yeah.
Like why the hell? I remember saying like, why couldn't we get Gus Hiddink?
It is a part-time job in many ways. Yeah. So.
And I'm sorry, we've got a lot of money sitting around, especially for an organization that's supposed to be nonprofit. We're certainly not apparently spending it on scouts. So why couldn't we spend it on a manager?
Christian says Arsene Wenger.
Oh, God.
There was a call for Jose Mourinho in there, too. He might be.
I'd rather Wenger.
I'd rather Wenger than Mourinho, but Jesus, I don't want either one. Oh, God. I don't know that there are two coaches that I want less than the two of them. I mean, there might be. There probably there might be. There probably are, but like
Jurgen
Maradona.
Klinsmann.
No, because at least I'd have a chance to maybe meet Maradona.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I could shake his hand or something. I don't care.
I would rather have David Moyes than either Mourinho or Arsene Wenger.
Absolutely. See, I think Moyes gets a bad rap anyway. He just had he was put in a terrible position when he was at United, and he got kind of the English media treatment of it. I don't think Moyes is a bad manager. Look at what he did at Everton. Look at what he's done at Celtic.
When did I say I wanted Big Sam?
Oh God.
They're saying that I said I wanted Big Sam on the chat. I know I'm sleepy, but
I remember when we did the show about could it really be him or something. But no, I think we all came out well on the side of God. No.
I see, and Chris, I tend to agree with you. I think with what Moyes did at Everton, he might be, in terms of what he would have to work with here talent-wise, I don't think he's not an awful fit. But
look, I think he gets a bad rap because of one bad situation, and he failed there. But I also think he was kind of put in an epically bad position. So to me, it's hard to judge him. I kind of look at the United thing with him as just an outlier. That's an anomaly. It's sort of like judging in the Olympics or something. You kind of wipe out the highest score and the lowest score. And overall, his record is not a bad one. He's done well with teams that.
Didn't he go to Spain and just absolutely suck?
He might have too. Whatever. Like in general, my feeling is he has outperformed maybe what his teams have equaled more than the sum of their parts.
We can't cheat with Big Sam, though, anonymity, because he'll get caught on video. Have to step down. I still want Thierry Henry. Belgium assistant.
Isn't he in the running
look at
to
Kiko's
be
timing with me? Yeah. Thierry Henry.
Isn't he in the running to be the new Monaco manager? That's the rumor, right?
Yeah.
The rumor is the rumor is that's his job.
Is he going to get it? Ooh.
It would make an awful lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, he's got a history there. He's got a relationship with Arsene Wenger, who has a history there. Now, who knows what happened with him and Wenger, if there was a falling out after Wenger forced him to leave Arsenal. But
Thierry Henry would kill himself with our squad.
It would seem to me he definitely has an in there. And hey, former Arsenal stars are apparently becoming managers in France. So I should say French Arsenal stars are becoming. Jerry is a hawk and he can't coach emus.
Jason Christ is Jason.
Jason Christ.
Feels like we've kind of hit the end of the line here.
Yeah, I think so. Any other thoughts?
We have social media, USFanTV. We have a YouTube account that's USFanTV. You can
find us at USFanTV. Oh, hey.
Or subscribe. That's what you should do. Not follow. This isn't a following platform. This is a subscription platform. So subscribe and join us for shows like last week where there was nothing going on and we did a terrible show. Or was that 2 weeks ago? I don't even remember. We did a bad show last time. I think it was our best bad show.
Both.
Yeah. So that's all I got. TJ, do you have any final words?
No, back on the social media thing. I mean, we do have Instagram, right? We have Facebook, and Chris has Snapchat. Even though we hate Snapchat, Chris has one anyway.
Photo Combs, I'm told, is just like the Instagram. It's Photo Combs.
I honestly have no idea. I had an account.
Bullshit.
Like I said, to try and figure out if there was a way I could make it work at work. And there was and then I was examining it as something for USFanTV.
Millions of people make it work.
I thought it sucked. I hated it, and no, I thought I could use it for social media at work. I do social media at
Chris,
my job,
and now he just uses it to follow Cardi B or whoever that is.
Anyway, if the account exists, I have no idea. It is not on my phone. I have not looked at it in years. I hate Snapchat. Whatever.
That's never come up.
If
that's
you guys
never come
really
up on
do
the
look
show
this
before.
up, I don't.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
TJ, is your pod named yet? Do we have a name for the TJ pod?
I think what we talked about the other night. I think I might go with that. The minivan dad soccer pod. Because I do have a minivan. I do have a minivan, so you got to own it sometimes, and I think that might be the way to do it. So
I just did the quick run through of the initials on whether it would spell Nazi or something like that. Ridiculous, but I think you're safe there. So, all of the suggestions we got on the bad show were, a lot of them had hidden messages that would have not done well for you. So,
no,
but I think the minivan dad is safe. It's safe. It's a safe play. You gonna have hot takes?
Do I ever?
You have to talk the whole time, right?
Yeah, I kind of figured. Yeah,
it's like on this show we could at least take a break.
That's true. But that said, there are nights that getting a word where Chris gets rolling that you can't get a word in edgewise.
It's tough.
So,
sometimes one of you guys will say something in the comment.
All right. Say what?
Chris follows Selena Gomez, apparently.
She's the one who got murdered, right? Am I right? I'm genuinely asking. Like, isn't she the one who got murdered by one of her fans? Isn't that her?
It wasn't Selena Gomez, no.
And who is that? Oh wait, is Selena Gomez the one who like dated Justin Bieber or something? Dude, I don't know these things. I'm sorry.
Pat,
I am genuinely asking these things. I have no clue.
Pat, you need to kill the feed now because we're going.
I don't want to. I want to keep it going.
Oh, absolutely. TJ will insult his followers daily. 100%.
All right.
You're saying that like I actually expect anybody to actually listen to it. I mean, I realistically think it'll be 3 people, not even including my parents, to be bothered with.
Your parents have seen this show?
I don't think they've seen this one. Oh. No. Oh my God, I think they'd be embarrassed. But they'll be in town in 2 weeks, so
maybe you can bring them on.
Yeah, no. Come on, my parents have like a flip phone still, dude. You think they can do technology?
Maybe.
All right. That's it. We'll see you next week for the post-game show after the Peru match. Thank you for putting up with us. Good night. You're done.